What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 Experience with myself, Thomas Mabaso.
Update you on some other stories that have been developing through the day now. The ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula holding a briefing today on the party's preparations for the 2019 Manifesto review scheduled for this Sunday. The party interacting with its constituency to assess how it's fared when it comes to the promises it made in the last election. News from Africa senior political reporter Ziyanda Nqobo in Soweto this afternoon. Ziyanda, good afternoon to you. What's come out there?
Good afternoon, Stephen. So the ANC is saying it's going to be doing things a little differently this time around.
You know, every time when the ANC says we're going to do things different this time, guys, how many elections? How many elections? For so many times, the ANC said that they're going to do things different. And I feel like right now, South Africans feel like they're being insulted. They feel like they're being insulted right now. Because the ANC has been promising South Africans one thing over and over again. Guys, it's been 30 years. The ANC has been in charge for 30 years. But today we have kids who are still dying in pit toilets. Look at our education system, guys. You can look at our health care. You can look at unemployment rate. So, guys, for 30 years, do you believe that after 30 years, there is something that the ANC can do to actually better things in South Africa, guys? Look at unemployment rate. South Africans, we are the highest when it comes to unemployment in the world. We are the highest. So do you believe that the people who have been presiding over this unemployment for 30 years can now do something different?
You'll know that they usually launch their manifesto, and during that period is when they sort of do a review. This time around, the party is saying that they want to dedicate specific time towards reviewing its gains, its losses, its obstacles, and what it hasn't been able to achieve, and engage with its ANC constituencies across the country, kicking it off here in Soweto this Sunday at the Dobsonville Stadium. I want to bring in now the national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu, because when we look at the statements of the Secretary General, who had to, of course, leave due to other engagements, he makes a lot of concessions around issues that South Africans continuously complain about. Potholes, load shedding, the cost of living, all of which have happened during the tenure of President Cyril Ramaphosa.
No, absolutely. We are coming here in Dobsonville Stadium in Soweto on the 3rd of Sunday. One of the things that we're going to speak in a whole lot more detail, Ziyanda, is about those specific issues that you're talking about. What have we done in terms of the transformation of the economy? What are the things that are still outstanding? How have we fared in relation to the 102 commitments that we say we want to account for the successes as the ANC in relation to those? You spoke about cost of living. You spoke about how we're managing the inflation. I mean, we can see that some of the research reports point to some upward swing. We're nowhere near where we wanted to be when we went into 2019. But the whole essence of what Sunday is about launching a review process that will go to provinces and that will also go to different dialogues.
And beg people to give you 5 years again, so that you can get one thing wrong time and time again. Guys, do you sometimes feel like these guys are just taking us for fools, man? Do you feel like the ANC is taking us for fools? And I'm so mad at young people who don't want to go out there and vote, because it's only with the young people that we can actually take out the ANC. The ANC has its own base. Its own base is going to vote for the ANC no matter what. The ANC, they have people who will always vote for the African National Congress no matter what. So these other parties, like the likes of the EFFs, the likes of the Patriotic Alliance, they are only scrambling for fewer votes. But the ANC will always have its people who will go out there and vote for the ANC. We know that older people are not even older people when it comes to voting. They don't compromise, but young people, they don't want to go out there and vote. To me, it makes no sense, because throughout the years, young people are the ones who are complaining about how bad things are in the country. But when it comes time to vote, young people are nowhere to be found. Young people are nowhere to be found. So why is it so hard to simply sacrifice one day of your life to make a difference in our country. I mean, like, sometimes, guys, I really want to speak on behalf of these young people. I really want to help them fight this fight that they are fighting, but it's like they don't want to fight. It's like young people in South Africa, they haven't suffered enough, because the way they don't want they don't want to entertain anything that has to do with politics. They don't want to entertain anything that has to do with politics. But these are the kind of people who are making decisions on our behalf. These are the kind of people who are making decisions on our behalf. The ANC will probably win the next year's election, and guess what? It's 5 more years of complaining. 5 more years of complaining. Guys, we really need to make, like, South African youth, it really needs to wake up. We really need to wake up. It can't be that every time when we are on these platforms, we're talking about the fact that there are no jobs for young people. We talk about the fact that young people are not being supported in terms of getting government support for their businesses and so on. But the same people, they don't want to participate in anything. They don't want to vote. They don't want to do anything. But they simply just want to sit at home and complain about how bad things are. Guys, it's 2024 next year. And guess what? Young people are not going to go out there and vote. Young people are not going to go out there and vote. We're still going to have all the people to define where this country is going. All the people, like the elderly guys, these guys, they really respect the process of voting. Maybe it's because these people, they come from apartheid. That's why they understand the importance of voting. But when it comes to us, like, guys, young people are the leaders of this country. But the young people in this country, they don't want to participate in anything. They don't want to participate in anything. The situation right now in South Africa tells you that young people really need to get their hands dirty in politics. Like, we really need to get involved in politics. We really need to understand what some of these legislations that these people are pushing on us. What's wrong with South African youth, man? What's wrong with us, man? And we are the ones who are taking the biggest hit. South African young people are the ones who are taking the biggest hit. So how is it possible that the same group that takes the biggest hits is the one that don't want to do anything? Man. All the people will always vote for the African National Congress. These people, they worship the ANC for what they have done for them in 1994. There's nothing that you can tell all the people about the African National Congress. These people, they worship the African National Congress. There's nothing that you can tell them. Our grandmothers, they passed away as loyal members of the African National Congress. There was nothing that you can tell that woman, man. There's absolutely nothing that you can tell that woman when it comes to African National Congress. African National Congress has its people that love it. The ANC has its people that love it. The ANC has a solid base. That is one thing that people are getting wrong. The ANC has a very solid base. The ANC has people who are always going to vote for the ANC. You see, right now, people are actually confused. They don't know whether to vote for Herman Mashaba. Actually, say people, they don't know whether to give Gayton McKenzie a chance with Patriotic Alliance. People are also looking at Julius Malema, and right now, recently, it's Ace Magashule. It's now in the mix. It's now in the mix, but guess what? When it comes to the base of the ANC, that one is not going anywhere. It's going to vote for the ANC. It's going to vote for the ANC. So all of these other parties are fighting for these votes of people who simply cannot make up their minds. That's why I'm saying that the ANC is going to win again in next year's election, man. It's the next year's election. Man, it can't be that every year, year in, year out, every 5 years, the ANC comes out and tells us that they're going to do something, they're going to do things different this time. Not so long ago, I think in 2019, Ramaphosa was here annoying us about the ANC renewal, telling us the ANC is going to be brand new. We're going to get rid of all these bad apples. That's what the ANC is going to do. The ANC is going to be the ANC that holds people accountable. It's going to be the ANC that sends people to jail. It's going to be the ANC that actually employs people who are capable and qualified to do their jobs. But guess what? You look at Ramaphosa's cabinet, man. The same people who have been charged by Zondo are still there serving the cabinet. They talk about the ANC renewal and how it's cleansing itself of dirty apples. Man, you see the African National Congress, man, it's an insult. I feel like it's an insult to South Africans, man. It's an insult that every 5 years the ANC comes out and tells people that we are going to do things different this time. So what is it that you're going to do different, man? When we've had 30 years. When we've had 30 years. 5 years ago, the ANC was discussing the issue of potholes. They was discussing the issue of unemployment rate. They were discussing the issue of inflation. Even now, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to review the manifesto that they didn't implement for the whole fucking 5 years while they were protecting the president there in Palapala. While they were busy protecting the president in Palapala, they forgot about the manifesto, that 2019 manifesto. Now they have to review the manifesto that they had 5 years to deal with. 5 fucking years to deal with this manifesto. South Africans haven't had enough, man. South Africans haven't had enough. I'm convinced. South Africans haven't had enough. And the audacity of South Africans to tell Zimbabweans to get rid of ZANU-PF and to put in CCC and exercise this democracy. South Africa has not exercised its own democracy. The same democracy that we're talking about, we haven't exercised it. Because the ANC has been in power since 1994. We have never seen parties take each other out on a national level. It has never happened in South Africa. So the audacity of South Africans telling Zimbabweans to exercise democracy, whereas we don't even know how to exercise democracy ourselves. It's laughable, man. It's laughable. We cannot exercise democracy on ourselves. But we have the audacity to tell Zimbabweans to exercise this democracy that we're talking about. But my point is that, guys, it can't be that every 5 years. It can't be that every 5 years. But the ANC comes out and says one thing. It can't be, guys. It can't be. It can't be. Like, guys, I'm sorry, my light is giving me shit. We have load shedding right now in our township. It can't be.
With various sectors to talk about those matters that are very urgent to various sectors. And so we're quite confident that we've started something where we're basically rendering ourselves naked to allow for a national conversation about the performance of the ANC in order to inform what becomes the next manifesto as we go to the general elections in 2024.
Why should South Africans give the ANC a second chance when just as recently as yesterday we heard from your ANC deployees in the government communicating in really, some would say, bizarre ways about what happened in Marshalltown? The minister and the presidency saying that it's not government's responsibility to provide housing for illegal migrants. That's not what the Constitution says. Today, the social development minister, Lindy Wazulu, is apportioning a lot of the blame of what happened in the city of Johannesburg on apartheid. Now, you juxtapose that with what you want to say to South Africans are challenges, and yet some of them could have really have been resolved in the last 5 years.
Well, I will say two things, Zianda, to your question. The first one is that we will engage with our deployees to ensure that there's coherent messaging. And that's ongoing work anyway, through the work of the NEC Subcommittee on Communications, Information and Publicity.
I mean, like, guys, just imagine, guys, a senior executive there at the African National Congress is blaming what happened in Johannesburg, where 70 people lost their lives, on apartheid. On apartheid. Can you imagine, like, guys, these guys are blaming things that they should have dealt with for 30 years, guys. For 30 years, there are issues that I understand when they blame apartheid for. There are issues that I understand. But some of these issues that they talk about, guys, they make no sense at all. No sense at all. Just imagine, guys, an entire building is hijacked in Johannesburg. It's basically an informal settlement inside there. Everyone is doing whatever that they want to do. The whole building catches fire. 70 people lose their lives. 40 people are injured. And the ANC blames that on apartheid. Like, guys, these people, they don't want to be accountable for nothing. They don't want to be accountable for nothing. So even this whole dialogue that they're talking about is just to make people feel better, but they don't want to take accountability in anything. They don't want to be held accountable in anything.
That's the first thing. The second thing is that we've gone public to say that the NEC mandated our deployees in government to undertake a holistic review of our immigration legislation, and whether the immigration legislation as it is at the moment cannot be made to be fit for the challenges that South Africa faces with immigration as well, particularly undocumented illegal immigrants, and how we manage that and how we manage the porous borders. So that will be the second thing. I do think that the Joburg issue as an issue is an issue, but it cannot be the basis upon you assess the ANC government and whether it should be voted on in 2024. I do believe that South Africans will judge us about a whole range of things, from social protection measures all the way to how we've stabilized this country.
So the spokesperson of African National Congress says that the ANC should not be judged on what happened in Johannesburg. I mean, Hemen Mashaba already told us that there are so many hijacked buildings there in Johannesburg. There are so many hijacked buildings. He spoke something like 600 buildings hijacked in the whole of Johannesburg. 600 buildings are hijacked in Johannesburg. So how can we not judge the ANC on that? Because people are fearing for their safety, man. People are fearing for their safety. You cannot pretend like you don't understand some of these things that comes with such situations. You cannot tell me that you don't understand that people are fearing for their lives. People, they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe. It's drugs everywhere. It's prostitution everywhere. Children are being abducted. It's crime. People are being killed. But you can't tell me that the porous borders of South Africa, it's something that you cannot judge the ANC of.
During the COVID period, in a very difficult time.
And it's fine for these people to say that we cannot judge them on the fact that they've literally opened the borders for everyone to come in. Like, it's not surprising to me. It's not surprising to me that the spokesperson of African National Congress says that people cannot judge ANC on the fact that we have porous borders. You have to understand that when illegal immigrants come to South Africa, they're going to live with the poorest of the poor. They don't have to share anything with these illegal foreigners. They don't have to. Our people on the ground are the ones who are forced to share hospital beds with illegal foreigners. Our people on the ground are the ones who are forced to share hospital beds with foreigners, not politicians. Politicians are fine. If this lady right here gets sick, man, she will be on the next flight to Russia. She's fine. These people are in government, guys. You have to understand that these guys are in government, but they will never use the government hospitals. So they don't care because it does not affect them personally. It does not. You know, when people are complaining about the fact that right now people cannot simply get jobs get the waitress jobs. You know that when people say that they cannot get the waitress jobs because majority of these jobs are occupied by people who come outside of South Africa. South Africans are being forced to compete with the jobs from people who come outside of South Africa. Some of these people are probably in the country illegally. Politicians, they don't care. That's why the ANC doesn't want us to judge them on the fact that our borders are porous. I understand. It does not affect her personally.
All the way to how we've managed disasters and other humanitarian related issues, and the Joburg issue is also a humanitarian issue.
I tell you what was big in 2019, though, was the issue of corruption. In fact, even the ticket that President Cyril Ramaphosa came on was an anti-corruption ticket. And yet, in the statement by the Secretary General just this very afternoon, when I asked a question about those ANC members implicated in state capture presenting themselves before the Integrity Commission, it seems that there are still some members of the ANC, most of whom were senior actually implicated in that report, have not presented themselves before the Integrity Commission. And so when you talk about renewal and people wanting to take responsibility, it's an indictment on that, isn't it?
Well, there is a process, though. One of the things that you're omitting to mention, Z, is that the SG also indicated that those that did not present themselves to the Integrity Commission have now been referred to the disciplinary committee, and that process is currently underway. So I can say with confidence that the internal processes have kicked in, and the relevant, constitutional...
Like, guys, they are talking about internal processes right now. Next day is 2024 elections. It feels like they want to show people that we are doing something about this whole corruption thing, but we know that nothing's going to happen. That's why I say, like, South Africans should feel disgusted and insulted by the African National Congress at this point, man. They're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Organs are hard at work to make sure that there's accountability in as far as that is concerned. We absolutely are convicted, both on the basis of various utterances, including those of our former presidents, about the pace with which we're dealing with issues of ethics management. We are convicted that the recent decisions are going to actually be showing the way in positive direction in as far as how we are handling that particular aspect.
Last one, on a lighter note, are you expecting to fill up this entire stadium? What's the capacity of the stadium? It will surely be an indictment from an optics perspective of how much people still want to listen to the ANC.
Man, if the African National Congress does not fill up the stadium, man, it's going to be a mess, man. People are going to literally kill them online. It's going to be a mess, man. Like, the ANC, they really have to fill up that stadium, man. They have to fill up that stadium. If the African National Congress does not fill up that stadium, man, it's going to be an embarrassment going to 2024. That they can't even fill up such a small stadium. It's going to be an embarrassment. They have to fill up that stadium, man. They have to bus in people, man. They have to do everything in their powers to make sure that the whole stadium is green and gold. They have to.
I was informed that it's somewhere around 20,000 and slightly above. We will fill up the stadium easily. That's it.
All right, and I think it speaks on behalf of the African.
So, guys, do you believe the African National Congress when they say that they are going to do things different at this time? Do you believe in the ANC when they say that this time they are going to do things way different? They understand that you are so frustrated with them. They know that they've lied to you for 30 years, but they want you to take them to 35. And they believe that they can do things different at this time. What are your thoughts, guys? Please tell me on the comment section. Please don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, guys, please subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.